So here's the professor in class. Her name is Miss Nowak. She's been in the industry for over 40 years. She started in 1980. So she's been a licensed financial advisor with all her securities licenses since the 1980s. And here's this little frail woman in the classroom, but she was strong. And I remember as I'm sitting down taking notes, something happened where she mentioned this thing called whole life insurance. I said, oh, bet that's for me because that's what I got. So I'm sitting down and I'm writing down about whole life insurance. And she's saying everything about whole life insurance that I was not told about. She's like, the cash values alone. I said, excuse me. She's like, yeah, you don't get the money. And I paused her and I said, Miss Nowak, excuse me, miss. So I raised my hand and she stops the class. She says, Daria, how can I help you? I said, what do you mean the whole life plan and the IULs? I don't give that cash isn't for me. She was like, it's not for you, Dario. And then I was like, well, I have several. She paused the classroom and she was like, let me ask you a question. How much do you pay per month? I said, well, between me and my wife, it's there's a little over $600 between my wife. And we've got children riders. She stops the class. She says, ladies and gentlemen, please hush. Here's an example. Every time I've been doing this class, there's always one victim. Now I'm sitting in the back of the class like, why is this lady calling me a victim? What's going on here? She's like, Daria, don't take it personal. But every class, there's always one person that this triggers on a personal level. So she's like, let me do something. Do you mind bringing all your policies to class for tomorrow? I said, no problem. She was like, this is not an attack on you. Are you okay with bringing that? I said, sure, I'll do it. And she began to tell me little things that I'm going to get into in a little bit. And I went home and I told my wife, I said, hey, matter of fact, I text her in the class. I think we're doing the wrong thing. I think something's wrong here. I don't think we're following the right process. I get home and I'm like, yeah, Miss Nowak said we're doing the wrong thing. And this is not what we're supposed to have. And I had a meeting with her outside of the classroom and said, Miss Nowak, I have child riders for these whole life plans. My kids have whole life insurance too. She's like, never put whole life insurance riders on your children. She was like, I'll explain tomorrow. I come in the next day. And I tell you this right now, that's when I realized that this whole life and IUL situation is deeper than you think. It's not just about life insurance agents online trying to make a sale. It's actually an atrocity. Like I said, I've got a lot of paperwork in front of me. I've got a lot of information, a lot of research, but I'm just going to stick to the plan here. Don't let my ADD get in line. So we looked at our whole life policy, and this is one of ours because I'm going to bring personal things to you. So we give you the full idea of what this thing is. So we began to look at my whole life policy, a whole life plus 100. I'm like, yeah, there's something called a cash value. She's like, no, that's not necessarily how it works. And we started going through our own policy. And she's like, Dario, look down here. It says caution when the total loans equal to the total cash value, the policy terminates and the entire tax gain of the policy becomes taxable. And she says, look, the entire cash value is used to repay a loan. I said, repay what? She was like, Dario, do you know that in the state of Florida, I don't know what state you guys are in, not only is the cash value a loan, but there's a percentage, there's an interest rate to it. In the state of Florida, you can go up to 10%. I said, excuse me. I said, I've got cash value. I should be balling. No, she's like, you've only got $79 in it. And we've had these policies for several years. I said, okay. And I didn't ask my wife if this is okay, but I blotted out what we could, but I just wanted to show you all the truth because I didn't just want to be another talking head on here because this is something very serious and families need to know about this. We had child riders on our children. I'm going to explain as to why that's not a good thing either. So I brought this to class and they're like, wow. So I closed my policy to make a long story short, and I'm like, my cash value. Now, this is before I knew how much it was. I'm like, I should be rolling in dough. Nope. $173.66 was my cash value. I tried to blot out as much as I can because tonight is not about bashing any companies. It's not about bashing any agents. It's just giving you the truth. So that was my check. And I'm like, what's going on here? Like, what am I doing wrong? And this began my journey down the whole IUL and whole life policy thing. To be honest with you, a lot of insurance companies have a lot of settlements. They're sued quite a bit. Transamerica, this is some years ago, they paid out $195 million to settle losses over universal life insurance. That's the IUL, because they were not telling the truth. Okay. Now, this is not about, I'll say this as a disclaimer. This is not about it being a bad product or a good product, because it works for some, very little, maybe 0.5%, and I'll explain who it's for as well. So Transamerica has quite a few lawsuits attached to this and many other companies. When I started looking at other companies and looking at what the life insurance companies are saying, because what they're saying is not what the agents are saying. I noticed that IAG says life insurance is not an investment. We have another one here, Mass Mutual. It says using strategies that position whole life insurance as a personal banking. Many of you have heard infinite banking, right? Yes. I had the book. I'll spare them right now, but I had the infinite banking book and family bank. Because keep in mind, we're dealing with the whole family office thing. So in a family office, we're like, how are we funding this thing? So we got to start a family bank. Wrong. Whole life insurance, using strategies that position whole life insurance as a personal banking and similar concept is inconsistent with Mass Mutual's policy because these strategies are misleading the customers. They promote large deposits, et cetera, et cetera. So I went down the rabbit hole. I'm like, I'm not just getting a life insurance certification and license here. I really want to help out. I really want to know what I've been doing wrong. It was more personal before it became a crusade. And then some guy comes up on my feed. He's like, financial products you can't trust, IULs. I went crazy. I said UC, and he explained it. By the way, Brennan, for all of my clients, this is a part of my slide. There's a link attached to this. So when I click it, it opens up to your page and I can go through and say, see, this is from a CPA. And I always use you as a huge selling point because you're not a life insurance agent. You're not a financial advisor. This is a CPA. This is someone in a totally different industry. Well, same industry, but totally different concentration. And he's like, hey, the IULs aren't good. He has nothing to sell you on this. So I use it for my clients because if I talk about another life insurance agent, you'll say, yeah, you're using your people. No, CPA dude said literally the IULs is a bad product. I'm going to rush through this, guys. So life insurance is life insurance. Oh, is that it? Pardon me. So life insurance is income protection, not an investment. I think I missed something here. Pardon me. So here's what happened with us. So we got the right policy, pardon me. We got the right policy and we pretty much closed our whole life in IUL policies and we got term. So we got term based on, and it's supposed to be based on your debt. It's supposed to be based on student loans, whatever you owe, whatever the utilities cost is. We got pretty high life insurance policies. This is one of ours. It's 1.2 million. And it's for 30 years. And there's a reason why it's for 30 years is because the intention is not to brag about this. And we used to brag about this before we knew any better. We were like, yeah, we've got $1 million policies, but the intention of life insurance is just to cover you for now. The intention is when you retire, you have $1 million in investments and $1 million in cash and liquid to pass off to your family. This is to protect your income. So this is us right now. I didn't see that. That's why I got confused. So we right now have life insurance and we have real investments, index funds, IRAs, TODs, which are transfers on death, individual stocks. Crypto is very little because it's based on how much we invest in crypto. It's a little bit. I'm still, bumping that up a little bit, but that's how much we have for now. But we're still in the game. Businesses, those are real investments. What Brennan shows you are real investments. Everything else, when it comes to insurance, is just a selling point.